Welcome to an all-new episode of Rehashing, where each week we rehash the top entertainment news stories and, of course, everything you missed in Bachelor Nation this past week. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
I will just say I have a fake smile on my face this morning. Yep, Lianna, I'm looking at you.
I sensed some hostility, but I wasn't just going to address it because, like, we're bigger than that, you know?
It's been an interesting 24 hours. For our loyal watchers, listeners, you know, we've talked about it a lot. I've mentioned it a lot that for the past 2 months of our Bachelor bracket, I have been in first place, and I took this with pride. I was very confident. And last night I made a silly decision that I will regret for the rest of my life. And now I'm in fourth place. I don't even qualify to get my money back, which is beyond me. And I just find it like unfair because I feel like Lianna wins everything that has to do with The Bachelor. And like now she's going to win the pool. Who's with me?
Listen,
Linda. Liana's going to have to message the entire group of all 20 girls and be like, okay, everyone, thanks for playing. I know I won. Like, hope you want to play with us next time. Like, no one's going to want to play with us next time.
to be fair, like I was the dark horse. I had zero faith in this because Sam's been like trailing the way this entire time. And I'm so shocked that she shit the bed last night and put Brie to move on. Like when I saw that text in the group chat when you were like, yeah, I have Brie going through, I was like, this is a lie. Like we've been talking about it every single week about who our top two are. And like you just did an old-fashioned switcheroo.
Okay, not fully. Like I feel like the reason that I put Brie, there's two reasons. The reason that I put Brie is number one, because I genuinely feel like Matt James is not ready for a proposal or for a girlfriend. And I know ultimately we think he picks Rachel, but I just feel like given that Michelle is like so mature and so well-spoken and like ready for marriage, like something in me felt like he wouldn't keep her around knowing that like he wasn't going to pick someone like that anyway. So I was like, okay, that's why I think Brie. Then me and my sister were discussing and we're like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And she was like, I just feel like it's Brie because like the mom posted something on Brie's birthday, which was on November 23rd. And in the caption, she wrote like, I haven't spoken to my baby. So we're like, okay, November 23rd, she hasn't spoken to Brie. She must have made it far. Anyway.
But she did make it far. Like she made it like.
I know, but like I just kind of thought that she would make it to the top two. And anyway, rest in peace to me. It's
just that the way fantasy works is so crazy. And like, this is literally what they call an upset.
Yeah.
And this is why there's a fantasy bracket and it's so fucking crazy. But listen,
no one's talking about Adina going from 7 to 2. Like
I was in 7 because I'm still losing.
Like I also did a nice little woohoo.
I just have to keep reminding myself because I keep saying like I'm like I just lost $400, but like I didn't lose. Like I have to remind myself that it's only $20 that I put in. But I just feel like because I was in first place the entire time, like I genuinely feel like I lost it all. Like I lost it all. And
I think that this episode has to be called Sam Lost $400. Like Sam, RIP to her. She's just now $400 poorer when really she's only $20 poorer. But it is what it is.
I'm $20 richer.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Anyway, very fun. Not fun for Sam, but like crazy. This turn of events this week.
I enjoyed the group chat conversation last night. I was on the couch laughing out loud.
I was sitting here like, they're kidding, right? They're joking, right? And my sister's like, your friends are crazy. They're crazy. I was like, this is out of control.
I love that our group chat extended to the sisters.
Yeah.
They're good additions.
Good addition.
They were always there when we watched together, so it only made sense.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it out there. Like, I don't know if I can handle a bracket next year, and if we do a bracket, we might have to like do it differently. Maybe how we did it for Peter, where we like watch the first episode and then like predict for the whole season. I just like the amount of like time and energy we've lost over like watching the promos.
I liked it.
And on that note, let's start with our weekly well wishes and muzzles. And first and foremost, well wishes to Sam. We know, it was a rough night for you last night. It's going to be a rough week. Next week's going to be rough. But you know what? Like, we're sending the positive vibes your way.
I would say like that's pretty rude, but like I genuinely feel like you mean well by it.
So first, second, I don't know, celebrity well wishes is to JWoww. She's engaged. Does anyone know who she's engaged to? I didn't even know it. Like, I don't know anything about JWoww.
Some man.
I feel like JWoww is so like 10 years ago.
Passe. Well,
they're actually filming like Jersey Shore reunion, vacation, something. Like, I don't know. They're in Jersey Shore right now filming.
her engagement man is Zach Carpinellino.
Do we like how Adina just called a fiance an engagement man?
Her engagement man is Zach Carpinellino.
Next is a personal favorite for me. Mazel tov to Aaron Carter. He's expecting what I think is his first child with a lady. He's a troubled soul, but I'm a huge fan ever since his like early days. And I just listen, it takes a special lady, I think, in my opinion, to couple up with this guy. So
remember when he dated Madeleine Petch? Like, what's her name in Riverdale?
Yeah, but like,
oh, really?
Pre-Riverdale.
I just read something super important that his on-again, off-again girlfriend, now fiance, Melanie Martin, she had a miscarriage last year in June.
Yes.
So I think it's a big mazel tov to her.
Yes.
She's pregnant.
Yes.
When I think about Aaron Carter, all I think about is the Christmas episode of Lizzie McGuire. And
Same.
When he kisses her at the end and they sing I Want Candy, like that's just the epitome of Aaron Carter for me.
So mazel tov to him.
Mazel tov.
Nick Kroll welcomed a baby. Who's his baby mama?
Lily Kwan. I think she's either a photographer. I'm not really sure who or what she is, but she posted it on her Instagram like a few weeks ago, but nobody really follows her, so it didn't really break the news. And then when he posted on Instagram in a very hangover way with the baby carrier in the front and the sunglasses on. Anyway, he's a dad. So crazy that he's a dad.
And Nicolas Cage gets married to wife number 5.
I feel like this week's mazel tovs are like scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like, get the most random D-list celebrity that has been not anywhere in the public like world in the past 6 years, and then give him a mazel tov. Like Nicolas Cage.
Well,
Aaron Carter.
Yeah. JWoww. Like
our next mazel tov, or not mazel tov, well wish is to Prince Philip, because he is still in the hospital, as we reported weeks ago. And he's recovering from heart surgery. So well wishes to him. Lastly, a huge mazel tov, congratulations, well wishes to Meghan Markle, who found her voice and has spoken out. And of course, we will now get into the biggest story from this past week is the Harry and Meghan Oprah interview.
Can I just say one thing first? Okay, so before we started recording this, I saw that Alanna had written on the thing Meghan Markle voice. So I said, what is Meghan Markle voice? And she's like, you'll see. Don't worry. Okay. Alanna, right when you just started talking about it, it immediately clicked what you were going to say, because I remembered like how in the
Little Mermaid.
Yes, but also like in the segment with Oprah, she was saying like if anything good came out of this, she found her voice. So
the interview was like Meghan and Harry, but like it was Meghan and then Harry.
Yeah.
And
Literally.
Oprah's kind of like big moment. She hasn't had a big moment in a while.
Yeah, no, it was a bit, it's like she came out of retirement for this. She retired. I don't know.
This was actually crazy. And I feel like obviously when there's like a big scandal or whatever in the world, like E! News, People, Us Weekly, like all these things are reporting it constantly. But today, and was it on? No, the day yesterday on Instagram, and today also, it was like you couldn't scroll past it. Like everything was just
so saturated with it.
My mom brought up an amazing point. Go Joanne. And she rarely does bring up good points. But she was saying my biggest shocking point was how Meghan, I think you all know how Meghan didn't know that she had to curtsy for that reason. Like, it really just bothered me she said that. But my mom said that she was really shocked that like there was no training like when you marry into the royal family. Like, you know, in the movies, sometimes you see them like kind of practicing and like things like that with like etiquette teachers and things like that. So I found kind of like what she said, that it was really interesting that there was no like maybe lessons and things like that, a history of the royal family, what's the etiquette, how do you enter the royal family. So
I think the main question is like, was there no training because of who Meghan Markle is, or was there no training? And I think that's quickly what the interview turned into. It was like a question of race, truthfully.
Yeah.
And, you know, she was alluding to the fact that she wasn't treated equally to someone like Kate, for example. So
I think there
are things she just offered them.
I think the lack of training that was given to Meghan could be also just because, like, who knows how long they thought she was going to stick around. Maybe they thought that, like, this was just a phase for Harry. It was a girlfriend, and, like, he'll find the right British.
That's the thing also.
Like, person who can come in and will, like, you know, like, they didn't think she was going to stick around long enough that, like, it would be worth their time to teach her how to curtsy and, like, keep her legs crossed. And, like,
I have an actual completely different point, like, thought on this whole thing. I feel like she came in and they were majorly threatened by her. This American who only has an outside perspective of the royals, doesn't know how the inner circle works, doesn't know what is expected. And they knew that she was going to be leeching onto Harry and essentially bringing Harry with her down whatever road she went on. So why not let her fail? And they kind of set her up for failure, and that was intentional. Like, I think that they knew that she was a threat to the system, one, because she was only saw an outsider perspective being an American, and two, was famous in North America. Mm-hmm. So like, I think that it was just a double-edged sword for her. Like, she walked into this situation not being embraced, as she said, and they didn't want to help her, and they didn't want her to succeed. And the end game, I think, ultimately was not to have her like assimilated into the family. They wanted her to be an outsider, and they did all these things intentionally to her.
So another thing to add too. So Kate met William. First of all, Kate is first. William is like obviously like he's like second in line for the throne. And like Kate doesn't really have a choice, right? Like, she has to, if she wants to be married to William, like, he can't just step back the way Harry had that luxury. And, you know, Kate came out of it. They met in college, and like, they were together the whole time, right? Like, she didn't have a life. Like, Meghan had a life. She was previously married. She was an actress. Like, she had stuff she was giving up, versus Kate, who like
exactly
didn't know any better. Like, she graduated college and was technically not a member of the royal family, but she was groomed to be like the future like wife of the king.
Mm-hmm. She's also British. Like, she also comes from that country where the royals are like prominent. Everyone kind of grows up with them and knows, like, I guess, some protocols of some sort, right? Where Meghan kind of alluded that she knew nothing about that.
Like, I really do believe that she didn't know anything. And I do believe the story where she's like, I have to curtsy. Okay. Like, teach me how to curtsy outside of I believe that happened. One thing I don't want to forget to say is that Oprah was the perfect person to do this sit down interview. She did not let them leave without asking every question. Like, if there was any form of a wishy-washy answer, she went right back in with a direct question. Like, she was like, so you're saying this? Like, she made it so clear, and that's why she's the best of the best.
I saw, just Lianna, just on that note, I saw a little clip of her because she was on like CBS.
Real King, I was just about to say. Yeah.
And she, again, because, you know, obviously this is something that I guess we could talk about, but one of the main things that Meghan mentioned, which I think was truly the worst part about it for everyone to watch, was the fact that there are conversations in the palace about what color their son's skin would be. And I thought it was like Oprah was really trying to get them to tell her who it was that said it. And what you were saying, Lianna, about how like she was very diligent and how she wanted like everything that she asked to be responded to in a clear way. On CBS Your Morning, she again mentioned, she's like, I just want to make it clear that, you know, I spoke to Harry again off camera and I tried to get him to tell me who it was. And when he wouldn't, all he wanted me to make sure that the world knows is that it wasn't his grandmother, the Queen, or Philip, the grandfather. And I think like it was important that she like reiterated that, you know? So it just like goes to show how amazing she is as a host.
That part kind of bothered me. Like he said, I don't want to tell you. Like at the end of the day, like it is his family. And if you say it one time, like I don't want to tell you, like my number one thing in all aspects of life is like, don't try to get me to change my mind. If I say no once, like, it's like, you know, respect it. You know, like I understand she's doing a job, but like we have to remember this is his blood, his family. And if he says one time, I don't want to tell you who said it, like, why are you asking so many times?
I feel like also though, because Meghan was so privy to give up that information, like it seemed like Meghan would have said something and Harry didn't want to. And I feel like that's why it was kind of like a grayish line on where they stood on if they were going to drop a name or not. But yeah, I agree that like she definitely was doing her job and being very, very diligent and direct, but it's important that she clarified that. And I think everyone appreciated that. And now everyone is just totally reading between the lines and they're like, it's Charles and William. Like, it's just, it is what it is. Like
that's
on another sad topic. And one other thing I think we should touch on before we move on from this, because we've like debunked so much of it, is the mental health aspect of it all. And what Meghan divulged in that interview was so heartbreaking, but I cannot imagine being pregnant and being literally locked in this castle like Rapunzel and not allowed out, and knowing very well that you need help and literally telling everyone around you that you need help and that your safety and the safety of your child is at risk, and being completely turned away. Like when she told that whole story and then Oprah was like, so you're saying you were suicidal? Like when she just point blank made Meghan say like, yes, I had full body goosebumps. I was like, this is no longer just like a tabloid horrible story. Like,
and I think what's crazy about it also is that there's a lot of like conflict in your thoughts about like what actually goes on. You know what I mean? Because on one hand, like you want to believe Meghan especially when she comes out and says like my mental health was a non-livable situation, right? And so obviously after she said that, I was like, okay, this is clear that this is real. But before that, you also think like, okay, how did this come about? Like, this is Harry's family ultimately, you know? And like, how did they get to this point where it was that bad? Like
Meghan lived, again, coming back to the original thought, like she lived a whole life outside of the palace. So she knew what it was like to have freedom, right? She knew what it was like to be able to like call an Uber, to have an Instagram account, to like hold her driver's license, to have keys, like all of these normal things.
Crazy.
And the fact that now she's in this situation very, very quickly where she's been stripped of everything. She has no sense of self at all. It's a very stark, harsh comparison. And everyone else around her that's in this palace, like they've grown up in this. They know this. Like Kate Middleton came into this when she was whatever, 18, 19, but she was British and knew about the royals and had experienced to some degree. So I think that was also why it was so affected. Like that's why her mental health was also so affected, because she was robbed of her career, her friends, her life, her pets, her family, everything. Like she had nothing. She went from a very full life, like she said, to a completely isolated life.
I found it interesting how Harry mentioned that the royals had kind of this like unspoken rule with the British tabloids. And I thought that was really interesting. And I feel like, I mean, it's not surprising. Like, you know, they keep their family as is, you know, this tradition, this way, and the British tabloids don't give them any bad press. Now in walks Meghan, who is not a typical royal family member. She's not British. You know, she comes from a different type of background. She's a different race. And of course the tabloids kind of go wild because maybe it's almost like the palace like broke their end of the bargain, so to say, you know? And so I feel like
maybe she's not included.
That's what I'm saying.
There was no protection. That's what it came down to.
Exactly.
Maybe that was all part of it. Like the inside wanted these stories of Meghan out there.
Yes.
They didn't.
She was a threat. She was a threat. Even in the interview, she said everything changed for them on that Australia trip. And that was the trip that everything finally clicked and switched, where so many people outside of the UK saw how charming and personable, and she was dancing with the kids. And she was just very, very like a people person. And that was the thing with Diana too. Like she was very charming. Like people gravitated to her, and that's a threat for the royal family. So I think it all comes back to that. They didn't want to play the game properly or according to their rules. And ultimately now they're no longer part of the game.
I thought another interesting thing was when they said that they no longer wanted to be senior members of the family, but wanted to just like kind of like take a step back. And they were naming all these people and how so many people do that. For some reason, when they wanted to do that, the press went wild, stating that they wanted to denounce their titles and kind of just like got all wrapped up in the media, or I don't know, and the story was completely twisted.
Be honest, like ever since Harry was younger, like he was never I don't want to say he wasn't meant to be a royal, but like he was the rebel. Like it was kind of written on the walls that he would maybe one day like not end up as this like perfect royal member of the family, but ultimately it's still his family. And he did admit in the interview, like if he didn't have Meghan, like he wouldn't have left. You know, some people see it as like, you know, she just like took him away from his family. So it's a very hard like balance, because I personally don't see it that way. Like I feel terrible for her, but a lot of people are kind of like pegged to see it that way. And
I see it both ways. Like, I could see
why. I could see both ways. Exactly.
The best part of this interview is that they announced that they're having a baby girl.
Yeah.
And if that baby is not named Diana, to fucking one, in memoriam of Diana, but also like two, stick it to the fucking royal family. Like that baby better be named Diana or else.
I saw somewhere that they were gonna. I saw somewhere that they maybe would name it Spencer.
That's what I saw too.
Like Diana Spencer, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I would love that.
I love
and it's
that.
like kind of like American, you know?
Yeah, I love that. I hope that that's what it is.
They do that. Because that still sticks it to the royal family. And then also it's just like, it would be nice if the daughter's name was like commemorated, like if Diana's name was commemorated in some way.
Yeah.
But I do.
And one more thing, just because it's pretty important, we haven't talked about it yet, is the fact that the royal family came out with a statement today about, you know, everything. And I think people were unsure if they were going to say anything. It was a pretty short statement. I read it? Bad for the queen. Like, I feel like she really loves her grandson, and this is probably very hard for her because, as we know, for those who have watched The Crown, even though it's not an completely accurate depiction, they always say like, you're a mother, but you're the queen first, and the crown always comes first. So I'm sure that a lot of the decisions that the queen or her people have had to make were very, very difficult, knowing that she had to make these decisions with the crown first in mind.
Yeah.
Another crazy thing that we got from the interview is that Meghan and Harry have watched The Crown. Like, not all of it, but some episodes, and like obviously the episodes with Diana in it. And it's just like
very cool. Well, speaking of watching, ready for what we're reading, what we're watching, what we're listening to.
Every week Adina has like a different jingle. Yeah. And she does like a different dance move.
I'd like to start with Samantha this week. What have you been up to?
Yay. I feel like I haven't gone first ever or in a while, so thank you so much.
I'm so sorry, Samantha.
That's okay. I'm not offended. Okay. So what am I reading? I'm still reading The Comeback for Adina's book club on Thursday. And I'm going to be honest, I told Adina this morning, it might be like a Spark Notes situation. Just because like, you know, with the podcast and the Bachelor and the Oprah Winfrey, like this was a week for me. Like I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to do my best.
You had 5 to read it.
Yeah, but as you know, like I requested an extension and I still couldn't meet the deadline. So I'm going to read, like, I'll do my best, but I'm probably going to just enjoy your book club, Adina, and like learn from your PowerPoint. That's how it's going to be.
That's fair.
In terms of what I've been watching, I started watching Ginny and Georgia. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I find it a little bit weird, but I also really like it.
Hey, Adina, I don't know how you loved it. I stopped in episode 6. I hated it like so much. I could not watch it. I was cringed out. I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever watched.
No,
and I have a big tolerance for crap, and I couldn't do it.
Can I just say you're making me realize that I never answered your text? I think I opened it in the middle of my sleep.
Yeah, you didn't answer me, and I thought you were mad that I didn't like it.
Why would I be mad? I never like anything anyone likes.
I was like, oh shoot, did I offend her because she liked it?
That's been like my new watch, other than New Girl, which I'm still loving. And in terms of what I'm listening to, I'm not really listening to anything different. I'm still like loving Nick Jonas's new music, and I'm very excited for his new album. I think it's coming out very soon, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for me. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Alanna.
So I too am reading The Comeback, finishing it up. I've got about 20% left. Definitely a slow read, Sam, but it's also it's like a slow story, but a fast read. And I also watched Ginny and Georgia and finished Ginny and Georgia in 3 days. And It was great. It was so stupid and so great. Like I loved it. It was dumb and I can't wait for season 2. And it was just, I have nothing but great things to say about this awful show. And then I've been listening to like a melange of things. One being a random like new country hits playlist on Apple Music, just because I needed to know like what's new, what's out there.
Okay.
I listened to Zara Larson's new album. It was like fine. I've liked like her first big song, and then I saw her name and I was like, oh my God, she's amazing. And like it was fine.
Okay.
But yeah, so that was my week.
Love it. Lianna.
So I too am struggling with the book club book, which is so not my speed. Normally I have no problem. I don't know what's going on, if it's like the book or it's just that I'm in Montreal and distracted by so many other things. But I literally have not been reading this week, which is so sad. But I watched something fucking fabulous this weekend that you all need to watch. It's on Crave, but it's a Hulu special. It's called In and of Itself. It's a special by this magician / mentalist. His name is Derek Delgadio. The show ran in New York on Broadway for like over a year, over 500 shows. Everyone you can imagine saw it, like all famous people. In the special, you see in the audience, like Bill Gates is in the audience, David Blaine's in the audience, like so many famous people are in the audience. But it's this special where he's telling this story and he inserts crazy types of like magic, like card crazy things like sleight of hand, but then also insane read your mind. There's no way. How could you know this? Psycho. And it's the best thing ever. We watched it, my whole family. We were literally so enamored with it, like didn't blink. He says at the beginning of the special, like put your phone away. It's so important you do that because you cannot miss a second of it. It's the best thing ever. If you need to watch one thing, you need to watch this. I'm so thankful that I heard of it and saw it. It's like getting crazy reviews. It's the best. So that's the one thing I need to share that everyone needs to watch this week in and of itself. It's so good. And then aside from that, I watched the Billie Eilish documentary, which was amazing. And I haven't really been listening to anything new.
Sorry, I just want to interrupt you there because you have been listening to something new, as have I, and I can't believe I forgot to mention it. It's Bruno Mars.
Oh my God.
And like I can't stop listening to the new Bruno Mars song, and I can't even believe that I forgot to.
Same, but know why?
This.
Because I've been listening to it so often that it doesn't even dawn on me that it just came out. Like I feel like I've been listening to it that it's been out. Like
Bruno Mars is so good. Like
people like him, Adina.
When I listened to his new song, I was like, wow. I texted Lianna. I'm like, I missed his voice. Like he is so good.
Yeah. So that's what I was listening to. That's what I've been listening to, I guess, this week.
Okay.
And you, honey?
I'd love to share. I had a great reading week again because I was on March break. Lianna so kindly recommended a series to me that I read all 5 books within like 4 days, I think. And I can't stop thinking about the characters. I have dreams about them and I just like can't stop.
Hey, can we just talk about how I've been like in the process of reading the series now for 2 weeks? I'm still on the beginning of book 3 and you've made it through all 5 in like 2 days.
I couldn't
What's it
stop.
called?
It's called the like More Than series. Okay. Like more than her, more than him, more than enough, more than forever. And I just
would I like it?
You would love it.
Okay, but Adina, she needs to read the deal first. She needs to read off campus first.
You should read off campus.
Here is my
No, you wouldn't not. You would not.
Here is my problem. If you want me to keep up with the book club, which I can't even do, how am I supposed to read like 2 books simultaneously? Like that's the problem.
Because I feel like the book club is kind of like homework. Like I know it's a bad thing to say, but it's like, remember in high school, like I never wanted to read the books that I had to read. But like when there's these books and there's these characters and they're so hot.
To make one of these books, not this series, but let's pick this as a book club book.
We should. I can't.
And if everyone hates the smutty shit, they don't have like Alanna.
We'll do 2
Can we do something like without the smutty stuff? Like I agree with like a good like Nicholas Sparks kind of book.
That's not real. Like once you start reading,
were you about to say that's not real love?
It's not.
Because once you start actually getting into like romance books, you're like, wow, that's love.
Okay, well, we've already decided that for the next book club, it's going to be a romance book. Yeah. Maybe it won't be like smutty and like, you know, whatever, but it's going to be a romance book.
It's got to be a bit porny. Sorry. Like it just has to be.
Just at least like three scenes.
Like fine, I'll read it to like give it a chance, but like I can't promise I'll have as great things to say about it as you two.
Adina, it needs to have 3 chili pepper emojis.
Yes.
That's what it needs. We won't go to all 5. Like how steamy it is, how steamy and spicy it is.
What's
like
the scale?
5.
How many? 3 out of 5.
3 is okay. Yeah.
That's a lot for me.
No, like 3 means that like it's a bit of a build up. Like the porny doesn't start till like 50%. That's what a 3 normally means.
Like not page 1, you know. Anyways, they're amazing.
Funny.
All this to say is I really enjoyed those series. I didn't sleep for a couple of nights because I was just thinking about the characters. Because of this, I did not start the book club book, so I have about like 24 hours to read this book. I think I'll be okay. And then what I've been watching. Okay, so I discovered that the ABC family shows are now on Disney Plus. I don't know if they've been there this whole time, but I restarted Greek and I love it.
I'm so jealous. That's what I want to do next.
So I'm going to do Greek and then I'm going to do Make It or Break It. And I'm really excited. And then what I'm listening to old school One Direction. And I've decided that I'm going to create this unbelievable playlist of the best One Direction, the best Jonas Brothers, the best Justin Bieber, the best like all these like boy band kind of things. And I'm just like so excited to listen to them because I just feel like I never get sick of them. My new driving playlist.
Can you include Backstreet Boys in there for me, please and thank you?
That's not my vibe. It's a different genre.
I know, that's why I asked.
Okay, thank you for asking. Thank you for your like input.
Thank you for rejecting my offer.
And that's about it. Like I'm just like so excited to read the comeback tonight till 1 a.m.
Sam, I think for your next show, you need to watch Greek. I think you'll really enjoy that one. Out of all shows and that you've never seen, it needs to be Greek.
I agree.
I have an idea. It would actually make me really happy if we can add a page on our Google Doc to like all shows that Sam needs to watch. And then just like if you put them there, maybe like a book list too. I know there's like Goodreads, but it's not the same thing. If you put it all there,
I'd love to.
I'll get to it. What even happened this week in Bachelor Nation? I feel like it was a lot of the same, truthfully. Like, you know, a lot of continued talks about Rachel Lindsay and her deactivated Instagram account, but we're really happy for her now because she came back. She's been posting on her stories a bunch, and it seems like she's forgiven Chris Harrison, I think she mentioned, to whatever extent that is possible, and she's wanting to move forward. So I actually have a question about Rachel Lindsay. She always hosts the Happy Hour podcast with Becca Kufrin, but I've noticed in the last like couple of episodes, it's been Tayshia actually. Well, so do we know if
Bachelor
maybe Rachel? Yeah.
Bachelor Happy Hour is the official Bachelor podcast. So it would like if Rachel's saying she doesn't want to be part of ABC anymore and she wants her contract to be void, then that would mean she can't host that podcast because it's like affiliated with the show.
So we have finally made it to the fantasy suites. I feel like it has taken forever to get here. As you all heard at the beginning of this episode, I completely lost the bracket. So I'm a little bitter about that, but it was a very uninteresting episode, in my opinion. Everything seemed like pretty just like normal for Bachelor fantasy suites. Like, you know, one person is like feeling insecure. The other 2 people are like super happy. But then ultimately the one that's insecure still gets to go through and everyone acts surprised, but really nobody isn't. It's just like a classic Bachelor narrative. So one thing that was really different about this episode was the fact that Matt James's dad was brought onto the show. And I feel like we really need to talk about this because there are just certain things that don't belong on television. And there's clearly, you know, a problem between Matt and his dad, and there has been one forever. And I just think that, like I said, certain things should just not be aired on television. And it's like they exploited his family struggles for TV ratings, and that really bothered me.
I felt so uncomfortable. Like, I'm sorry, everyone has like their family shtick, and it shouldn't be put on TV to get ratings. Like, the same amount of people are going to watch The Bachelor whether they know this confrontation is happening or not.
Yeah.
I don't understand how like they let this happen. Like, maybe like let's leave it up to like Matt, like never having been in this franchise, like he doesn't really know like what he's supposed to say yes or no to, but like I felt like it should not have been on TV.
No,
Why did Matt say yes to that? Do you think it was his idea?
I don't know if it was his idea, but like I do think like I don't think it's like because he's never been part of this franchise before that they like exploited the story. I do think like to an extent, like if he didn't want to have a conversation on national television with his estranged father, like he had the opportunity to say no. I read something today that said, remember Kelsey had a whole estranged relationship with her father. Her mom didn't know she was talking to her dad. Like tried to exploit that too when they tried to get him on the show from Peter's season. Her mom and her dad split up, and like for the longest time she didn't have a relationship with her dad, and like recently she started having one and her mom didn't know about it, and the, like producers wanted him to be on the show and like she obviously said no.
Yeah, like to a certain extent, the lead of the show can say no. Like this is off limits. We're not talking about it. So he obviously agreed to do it. I don't really know what the intention was. It wasn't really a resolved situation. It was awkward. And it didn't further the storyline at all. Like I guess that they were trying to say that like Matt needed to have this conversation for closure for him to move forward in his relationships. But
I thought it made me cry a little when he was like, I didn't need pizza. I didn't need shoes. Like I needed a dad. Yeah. And he was just like crying. And
it was really
like,
sad, but it brought about some really funny memes. Like people posting like the I didn't need pizza. And then the caption is like, me on my diet. Like
that's very funny.
Anyway, Case, let's talk about these dates.
I think the main thing, like really it was uneventful. I think the main thing to take away from the fantasy suites is that he is so clearly wanting to be with Rachel. Spoilers or not, we don't know. We don't actually know, but every single person that has said, I love you to him, he has said, thank you so much. Thank you for shopping at Walmart. And to Rachel, he says, I'm falling in love with you too, or I'm so happy you said that. I feel the same way. So it's just very, very clear where his feelings lie. And I think that with the promo next week, there's going to be a lot of backlash from his mom, because I anticipate that his mom's going to really like Michelle. And then Matt's like not going to end up choosing her. So
like, that's just it. Michelle's like obviously the choice that like any mother would approve of, right? She's a teacher. She's older. She's more mature. She's just like, she comes across very humble and like not revolvy. Like she's like she's a good girl. And Rachel, like she's young, she's immature, she has no
I don't like this argument you make all the time about age. Like I think you're like you always make age as an argument, and like I don't agree with the age argument. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because look at Brie, for example. Brie's 24 and she was incredibly mature, very in tune with her feelings, seemed to be in like a really good place in life, whereas Rachel is the same age as her and she's like not very
Brie is an anomaly. She like her kind doesn't make it onto this show because they're too put together. True. Like it blows my mind that Brie even made it onto this show. She's too normal for it. Like,
but I just feel like I'm just saying, like I feel like we use like age as like a reason for a lot of times, like she's not ready, blah blah. But like Hannah Brown was 24 when she was a Bachelor, and I think she did an amazing job.
And guess what? You think she did an amazing job? She picked Jed, and look where she is now.
But I'm just saying, guy.
Like, I just want to. Speaking of Hannah Brown, I need to bring up one thing. Today, Alanna sent us, or maybe it was yesterday. I can't keep track. A video of like Tayshia doing an interview on YouTube. Was that today?
Oh, no, it was. I sent it yesterday. For the Refinery 29. What's in my bag video.
Anyway, regardless, somehow I got on like a YouTube spiral, and I ended up on like Hannah B, doing her final 4 rose ceremony elimination, or final 3. And it was the one where Luke P comes back after she eliminated him. She's wearing that god-awful dress with her hair in a bun, but
with the pylon.
But I was like freaking out because I completely forgot that happened. It was like Peter, Tyler, and Jed, and then Luke walks in, and Hannah's like yelling at him, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I already eliminated you. He's like, I'm not leaving. And so she picks up her thing, and she goes, I'm moving. She picks it up. Anyway, sorry. Just because you said Hannah, I had to mention that. But
like, I don't know. Hannah also, she was too young to be the Bachelorette. Like, she, like, you're 24 years old. Think about where you were at 24 years old. Like,
ready to get married. I'm kidding.
No, you weren't. Like, none of us were. And like, so I think older, it's always the better option. It was occasionally.
I'm sorry, look at Claire. What's your argument for Claire?
Okay, I think what Alana's trying to
There
say is
are
that
always anomalies in mathematics.
Anyways.
oh, she's a mathematician now. No, I think what Alana's saying is that it's evident from the conversations they've had that Rachel is not on the show for the right reasons, regardless of the reason why Matt likes her.
Yeah.
But any to the who, we all know what's going to happen. It's pretty inevitable. So
There's just
Well,
nothing else to say.
Hold on. Actually, there is something to say. So I haven't read any spoilers because one, I took an oath, and two, I don't want to read spoilers. Every now and then I like go to Reality Steve. I like search his page. I don't watch his story. I don't do anything. I just like see what he's posted because
for what reason? If
Hold
you took
on,
an oath,
I was about to say, because I only started doing it when we were talking about who the next Bachelorette is, and like the wishy-washy, like it's Katie, no, it's not. It's Katie, no, it's not. Like, and we're still in that place right now. So I had gone to see if he posted anything about that, because when he posts actual spoilers about the episode, he doesn't just post the spoiler, he puts a cover. So like, you know that if you're clicking it to get the spoilers, which I don't do. And what he has right now is like Matt's finale spoiler and Matt's finale spoiler updated. So like, oh my God, it's taking everything in me to not read these. And I just like need to know.
Oh, interesting.
Sam is like, I'm going to read that to make my $400 back.
That's interesting.
I was thinking, Alanna said it this morning. She's like, I might put Michelle as my winner because like at this point, what do I have to lose? Like, there's no chance that I'm winning anyway. So it's like, if I put Michelle and there's a turn of events and she wins, then I'm going to win again. But if not, then I'm just going to lose.
We'd be tied because we're now tied.
Yeah. But honestly, other than all this craziness, like it really was just like a typical fantasy suite week. I actually felt really bad for Brie when he sent her home. She deserved more than that. She deserved like a personal elimination, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Like he should have pulled her aside before the rose ceremony. He should have gone to her hotel room, like whatever it was. I think that she deserved more 100%. Than just being sent home. And of course, he had nothing to say to her after he sent her home, because he never has anything to say to any of the women except for Rachel, that he loves her. So like, it's just so frustrating. I'm so over this season. I
think that anyone who makes it to the bottom three like should not have to endure a rose ceremony elimination. Like I think like if you make it that far, like you obviously have the connection, like top three that you should like, you owe that person like a private like hotel meeting. Like that's what it should be. And that's what a lot of past people have done. And I just feel like that should be the new norm, because imagine like the final two going up thinking you're getting proposed to. Like you get dumped. Hello, not okay.
Well,
you're all dressed up.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I think that's what's going to happen next week based on the promo. I don't think Michelle is going to make it to that rose. It's not even a rose ceremony. It's just like
we haven't even seen the proposal stage, have we? In the promo,
we did once at the beginning.
Did we?
I think they'll like there will be like a normal proposal, but I also think that, you know, that scene where he's talking to Chris Harrison and he's just like distraught.
Yeah.
I think he like breaks up with Michelle like in the hotel room and like whatever. And that's like the scene of her crying. And then he goes outside and he's distraught because like he really did like her and like can't believe like he did that, you know?
Yeah.
But, like he's just all about Rachel. It's all about Rachel this season.
I'm so happy that next week is the finale. Like I'm just so ready to move on from this.
Yeah.
So ready.
I feel like this season has been emotionally exhausting for everybody, and just trying to like keep up with it has been crazy. So that was this week's episode of The Bachelor. I actually can't believe we're going to be at the finale next week. I'm really excited. I'm really excited to move on from this treacherous of a season, whatever you want to call it. And I think there's a lot to look forward to. I'm hoping for a Bachelorette announcement. That would be nice. And
it has to be
really good things. So
I don't want it to be Katie. I'm just going to say that right now.
It's going to be Katie.
It's going to be her.
I know, but I don't want it to be.
I wish it would be Michelle, but
same.
Yeah, they wouldn't announce that
we'll
next
see.
week.
I'm kind of excited.
We'll see.
Yes. Well, maybe they'll do right. Hold on. Pause. Let's rewind to when Kayla Quinn was supposed to be the Bachelorette up until like the day before, and they just like said, no, sorry, JoJo's the Bachelorette. And that was like back when they filmed after the final rose live because there was no COVID.
So when are they? They're not doing After the Final Rose live?
It was taped this
No.
week already.
It's not live.
It's already taped?
It was taped already, and they've announced a Bachelorette already at After the Final Rose.
Is there a reason it's not live?
Because COVID.
And
Okay, but they're
no,
still,
no,
they're
no,
still
it's
getting together, whether it's COVID
not.
or not, Alanna.
It's not. It's not because of COVID. It's being taped because of the subject matter of the interview. It cannot be
Okay,
live.
sorry. Okay.
And they're gonna need
I will
to-
rewind my emotions.
True. But they could get
Because
away
then
with
that-
it not being live because of COVID.
Yes.
No.
And if it wasn't COVID, they were never going to film this conversation live. There's no way. Too
They-
many
they-
liabilities.
And that is our show this week. Thank you so much for listening. We always appreciate it. If you want to reach out to us, say hi, you have feedback, whatever it is, you can find us on Instagram at Rehashing Podcast. If you want to email us, that's okay too. But, whatever, rehashingpodcast@gmail.com. And you can always listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. See you next week.